A young man carrying a young lady on his back is running through a dark stone hallway, with the only thing keeping it lit is the glowing blue symbols on the walls. The boy was wearing a dirt-covered cloak and carrying a large wrapped flag with a spear at the end. The girl was wearing a very clean white cloth wrapped around her entire body, and she was unconscious. The boy was running as if he was being chased by something, and he was, for behind him was what could only be described as a stone guard statue chasing him. The boy was running to what looked as if a dead end. He looked ahead for anything he could use as an exit, and then he noticed on the ground at the end there was another blue symbol. With great haste, he ran to the end, slid down, and pulled out an amulet he had wrapped around his neck and pressed it to the floor. The symbol gleamed, and at the furthest end of the hall, the symbols that were on the walls began to quickly slam into each other, working their way towards the boy. The statue was getting real close, but by the time it got to the last symbol, the walls behind caught up and slammed together, turning the statue into a pile of dust. The boy noticed the walls on either side of him had symbols as well, and they began to shake. But as quickly as they came at him, the floor beneath him started to fall. As the floor was falling, it wasn't dangerous. The boy laid his flag down and began to catch his breath. He set the girl beside him, and he looked at her. Her skin was white, and she had long white hair. The boy looked at her with a soft, happy look. He was covered head to toe in dirt, that he looked as if he just came out of a cave. After a few seconds, the floor reached the bottom. He picked up the girl and his spear and began to slowly move forward. Unlike the last hall, this area was pitch black. The boy's amulet began to glow. He held it out to try to see, but it was of no use. It just isn't bright enough. He did notice against the wall there was an unlit torch. He placed the torch on the ground and struck it with the tip of his flag to try to make a spark. After a few attempts, he managed to light it on fire. He then wrapped the torch to the end of his flag and began to look ahead. He found the room he was in to be a great deal larger than he first imagined. There were stone columns rising far above his head, and it seemed as if this room went on for miles. Not a sound could be heard other than his own breath, and the air had no smell at all. This made the boy very cautious. He proceeded slowly and carefully. For 5 minutes he walked forward, but for the boy it was as if it was 5 hours. The further he went, the more it seemed as if it would never end. But suddenly, after the boy went past the next column, he saw it. It was a strange white table that was high above the ground. It had 4 columns surrounding it. All the columns had the same blue symbol that glowed in the darkness. The boy stopped and he stared at the table. He then began to climb the table. At the top, he laid the girl down and then sat himself down. He looked out into the darkness. Still nothing. No sound. No movement. It was the kind of place you could wander around for days and not find your way out. The table they were on was large, and by looking at it, you could tell it was once as white as snow. Now it had a large crack through the middle, and a blanket of dust makes it clear that it hasn't been a great table for a while now. But why was it here? The boy looked at the girl again, and like the prick of a thorn, he felt the eyes of death looking on him. He turned around, grabbing his flag, and not a second late, for 2 claws landed on him, sending him flying backwards. He looked up to see what could only be a beast. 4 legs crawling all over the place, with its gruesome claws, and on the outside of the front legs, it had wings. It had teeth so big that one bite could cut you right in half, and a tail so fierce that one good whack could topple over any of these pillars. And after one big gulp, the boy had only one word to say: Voltige. With a great burst, the beast pounced towards the boy at a lightning pace. The boy barely managed to leap out of the way as the beast went flying past him. As it realized it missed the boy, it turned around mid-air, flying right into a pillar, knocking it to the ground. As pieces of the pillar slid across the ground, the beast let out a great roar, with blue smoke coming out of its mouth, filling the room. As the smoke grew, the pillars all around began to glow, lighting up the whole area. The area they were in was so grand, it looked as if it went on forever, and it felt as if they were right in the center. The boy readied himself, spinning his flag, then aiming it towards the beast. The beast jumps forward at the boy, but the boy darts off to the right, passing 2 pillars. He turns, putting a pillar between him and the beast, and good on him, as the beast unleashed another deadly breath of smoke, filling the area very quickly. Without a second to spare, the boy's flag unwraps itself and covers his face from the smoke. After blowing the smoke, the beast leaps towards the pillar with the boy, sliding past to get ready for another lunge. But as the smoke dispersed, the boy was gone. The beast lifted its head, sniffing every direction to locate the boy. But as it turned, it was met with a sharp, painful stab to its nose by the boy's flag. The beast screamed and roared out as the boy was still dangling from the flag. As the beast rashed about, the boy managed to get a hold and pulled himself onto the top of the beast, ready to lunge the flag in deeper, only to notice a pillar coming right for him. Whack! Sent the boy and the flag flying through the air at breakneck speed, with chunks of debris from the pillar flying along with them. Crash! As he hit the ground, rolling several yards past where he had landed, quickly jumping out of the way of the debris hurling towards him. The boy was fine, but in a lot of pain. He struggled to lift himself up. Seeing the beast in the distance roar in pain, he had only a moment to collect himself and think of a plan. When, at that moment, his flag wrapped itself tight and poked him on the shoulder, then, pointing towards the beast, followed by making a spiral shape that squeezed itself. The boy looked at the flag and nodded. The beast shook off its pain to look for the boy. Its sense of smell was all over the place. The beast then closed its eyes and lifted up its right leg high into the air, bringing it crashing down to the ground to release a shock-wave quake, shaking the pillars and ground. It heard a stumble to its left, and with haste it moved that direction. But at the same time, the beast was cautious and firm. As it turned the corner, looking for the boy, it saw some rubble on the side of a pillar, and the beast quickly looked up and jumped backwards, ready for an ambush. But there was no attack. Its eyes darting all around in every direction, the beast then, with no hesitation, began to climb the closest pillar, looking all around for the boy. It noticed him in the distance, running towards the table. The beast jumped down and started to run towards the boy with great speed. The beast caught up to the boy just before he made it to the table. Hearing the noise, the boy spins around as the beast strikes him, just managing to pull his flag up in time. The hit was mighty and sent the boy hurling through the air, smacking into the side of one of the pillars yet again. as pieces flew through the air with him. But the beast knew better this time. He quickly leaped towards him, as he was right on top of the boy. With nowhere to run, the beast snapped at the boy, chomping at him with all its might. The only thing the boy could do to not get his leg bitten off was to swing at the beast. As it would chomp towards him, the boy would evade the bite, landing on top of the beast's head. As the boy rolled across the beast's head, he knew he had only a moment to take action. Without a second to waste, he quickly stabs his flag into the top of the beast's mouth. His flag got stuck halfway through the beast's tongue. The boy's flag quickly wrapped itself around the top and bottom of its mouth, securing it tightly. The boy stood up, holding onto the flag. The beast was furious, trying to roar, but to no avail. It was tightly muzzled by the flag. The boy used the flag to steer the beast whichever direction he wanted. The boy noticed they were heading straight towards the table, so he quickly jerked the flag to the side, forcing the beast to crash into a pillar. The beast went right through the pillar, crashing it to the ground. The boy quickly turned his spear to be able to topple the beast over, smacking its back into one of the next pillars. The weight of the beast was so heavy they went right through the second pillar. The impact caused the beast to flail in the air and roll across the ground. The boy saw that as the best opportunity to dismount the beast. He landed on the ground, sliding, but he never let the beast out of his sight. Catching his breath, the boy's eyes never left the beast. He knew this would most likely be the last attack, but he did not know what was the best option. At this moment, the beast was up and looking at the boy, but there was no roar. This time, no smoke either. The beast only stared at the boy, a stare of death. It seemed, for when the boy looked into the eyes, he felt a great fear come over him. It felt like they were staring for hours, when it was actually only about 5 seconds. The beast knew it was the time to strike, leaping towards the boy, catching him off guard. With no time to think, the boy panicked and started to thrust his flag right towards the beast's mouth. As this was happening, the boy knew he would lose this battle. The beast's weight alone would crush him with ease, and he had no time to move out of the way. It was over. When, out of nowhere, a burst of blue light flew through the air, hitting the beast, pushing it backwards. In shock, the boy turned to the direction of the blast. On the table stood the girl, holding her hands out, with blue light fading from her. The boy looked over, seeing the beast cower and growl towards the girl, backing up slowly. The girl's eyes were glowing blue. She jumped off the table, but she didn't fall. It was more like she floated down, and as her bare feet reached the floor, she looked up at the beast again, holding her arms out, as if to receive something. As she started to walk closer to the beast, the hole on the top of its mouth started to leak out blue light. That light would then flow like a stream out of the beast and into the girl. The beast would whimper and cower away, but as the girl drew closer, the beast would become weaker and weaker. As the girl got so close as if to touch the beast, it fell over as if the life was sucked out of it. The rest of the light flew into the girl, and with a final burst, it blew back her hood and shook her robe a bit to reveal her ears and tail. The girl had long pointy ears. She closed her eyes and caught her breath, only to look a second later to see the boy running towards her, knocking them both to the ground. They both looked at each other and then began to laugh, only to fall on their backs with exhaustion.